This should work. Yeah. Oh, what the fuck? There we go. There we go. What's going on here? Oh, there we go. Cool. Hey, man. Welcome.
Greetings. Hello. Hi, guys.
Hey, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you. How are you
Awesome.
all?
Yeah, I'm good. Thanks.
Good. Good. I know. How do you pronounce your name? I'm sorry.
Gergely.
Gergely? Okay.
Just David Greg. It's fine. Greg.
Greg.
Like
Okay. Where are you located right now, Greg?
I am in Hungary, Europe.
Okay, cool. Is that your home country, or you?
Yes.
Yeah. Cool.
Yes, it's my home country.
Neat.
How about you?
I'm from Canada. Well, both of us. This is Drew. He goes by Grace. Abounds on Facebook. We're both from. Well, we met in Edmonton. It's like in Western Canada. Right now, we're both in like completely different places, but in British Columbia. If you've ever heard of it, British Columbia, Canada.
Yes. It's a beautiful place, I hear.
Yeah, definitely. We escaped the confines of the prairies of our country and moved into the bountiful beauty of like forests and lakes and oceans.
I would love to visit that place. So, some of my online friends from there, and I'm just sometimes looking at those gorgeous landscapes. I'm like, wow, really cool.
Yeah, man, it's super nice here. Do you know Samasati?
Yes.
Yeah, she's a good friend of mine. From the same place, and yeah, she's, I don't know, several hours north of where I am right now.
Yeah, nice.
Cool. So Matt sent a message. He says he's just setting up. He should join right away. I figure, what do you guys think? We wait another 5 minutes, see who shows up, and then get it going.
Sure.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, cool. Anything you guys? I don't know. Anything you guys want to share before we start, or any ideas you have? Any questions you'd like to put out during the call, or have me ask, or whatever?
I'm not a big fan of preparing.
Me neither. But I before the call, I read this Facebook page. It was like, basically, I typed into Google and I said, how do I run a Facebook group chat or whatever? And so it had 10 steps, and yeah. So I'm trying some sort of structure, but yeah, my initial plan was, hey, I'm just gonna show up and be like, hey, let's talk about some shit, guys, and see what happens. So that's kind of what's gonna happen, I guess. Cool. I'm glad to have you guys here. I'm surprised that Venus hasn't shown up yet. He seemed pretty stoked about it.
Yeah, doesn't look like you got any more messages on there, so it looks like Greg touched base, and then yeah, that's about it. It looks like. So Matt said he's setting up.
Yeah, I'll ask him how long. Yeah, and so I'll probably introduce this at the beginning of the talk also, but this actually came from Matt. Like, he posted something on Facebook saying that he wanted to help support people overcome their pornography addictions, and he wanted to know if anybody wanted support, just to reach out to him. So I said, hey, what's up? This is what's going on. Okay, he said start without me. Okay, so I guess this is it. We're starting. So yeah, basically he posted this thing on Facebook and said, I want to support people in overcoming their porn addiction. I messaged him, and it turns out that's what he was going through. So he wanted to be able to work through his own stuff and support someone else in the process. And it just turned into this kind of holistic unfoldment of, conversations around masculinity, attachment theory. If you guys are familiar with that, it's like when you're born, or when you're younger, depending on how your parents parent you, whether they're there and supporting you consistently, or they're only able to meet your needs some of the times, you develop a certain type of attachment in relationships. So there's like secure attachment, anxious attachment, and avoidant attachment. And depending on how your parents or your caregiver raised you, you have kind of tend to gravitate to one of those more so than the other. But, we all share characteristics of all of those ways. So we were talking about that and what effect that would have on our need for on our desire. I think it was related to our desire to use pornography, or like what's the cause of us using pornography, and I think that's how that came up. And then there was just stuff around relationships and yeah. So basically, I think what I wanted to start with is like the idea of masculinity. So like, if you guys have an idea, like, what do you think masculinity is, or what does masculinity mean for you individually?
That's a very good question. I'm in a way I'm still kind of learning this, as in maybe because my parents got divorced, and most of the time my mother raised me and my brother, and sort of I always had much more skill in the feminine ways of living, and only these last year or so I started to deep dive in the masculine ways, which for me sort of this straightforward just pick something and go for it, and is much less go with the flow, and much more just pick a direction and go there no matter what, cut through everything. And so I kind of needed to balance these, because I always had actually this deep dive in the feminine ways really served me, because especially when it comes to self-realization, when it comes to learning how to stop resisting and just embrace whatever it is. It really served me, but there was a point where I need to take a stand and like, okay, pick something and just focus on it. And from that, I can again just refocus or whatnot. But this linear movement, I guess. This is the masculine energy, maybe, for me.
Okay, cool. Drew, do you have anything, or should I go?
I can go. Yeah. At this point in my life, I've sort of given up on masculinity and femininity, and just what I'm trying to do is just sort of be myself. I tend to be more on the feminine aspect of the linear on the scale of things, if left to my own devices. And I'm just becoming okay with that. Like, I was pushing really hard in all areas to be a man, and I don't know, I've just lost touch with with caring anymore. I just don't care. I just think, you know what, just have to be myself and be gentle with myself. I read these books and I was trying to do some of these practices from David Dieta is his name.
David Data. Yeah.
David Data. I read some of his books, and I really resonated with it when I read it. I was really wanting to be this sort of masculine man. And like I said, I just through you know, just through living, I just been just feeling like just I'm tired of trying to be something other than myself.
Mm-hmm.
And if I end up being feminine, more feminine than masculine, that's okay. It's probably in the there's probably some reason for it, and there's probably some, I need to be okay with being feminine and being sensitive and gentle and soft and nurturing and supportive, and learning to cultivate that and just be that. And maybe through that process, it'll be accessing more masculine energy just by allowing myself to be, rather than sort of forcing it, really jamming, pushing hard to be something and trying to break through and all this stuff. It's like, it's just driving me mad. It's like, so anyways, that's kind of where I'm at.
Cool. So like basically just allowing, it sounds, that's what I hear in that, allowing whatever is to be, kind of.
Yeah, I've been exploring too other areas like that I put a real big cap on, right? Like gayness and bisexuality and stuff like that. I don't have any strong desire to act in those sort of ways, but just be opening to experiencing what this is and feeling the emotions, seeing if there is some sort of feelings there, because there's been so much resistance and so much fear around it that I haven't really looked into it, and it's something that I need to do, because it's part of the process I'm going through anyways.
Cool. I can relate to that over a couple decades, actually. I'm not sure if this is, so yeah, I'll just roll with this, because this is what's coming up. So I suffered for many years with mental illness, like I'm sure a lot of us on this path have. And one of the things that was most troubling for me was around sexuality. And like I had a friend basically tell me that he had feelings for me, and I was like 19 or 20 or something like that. And it was very difficult for me to hear. I was an asshole. I didn't hear him. I just treated him like shit and ostracized him basically, and he disappeared for a while. And then when we started hanging out again, him and I and a bunch of friends did psilocybin mushrooms. And I was next to him driving, and I started to tell myself that he hit on me because I was gay, and that was wrong, and I was wrong and bad. And I went into this really serious depression that was on and off for probably about 10 years. And I didn't tell anybody about it. So I had this story going on in my head that I'm gay and I'm bad. And I never explored it. I've never really been attracted to men, but exactly what you're talking about, there's like pushing away of it. Like, you know, as a man, I need to be masculine. I need to fuck a bunch of chicks. I need to go out and conquer by force. And I think that's kind of the standard conditioning that we as men receive as like a blanket of like, you know, there's one type of man, and if you don't fit up to this definition of what a man is, there's something wrong with you. And so when you were just expressing that you're like finding a place of like accepting who you are, the feminine, the masculine, and just like ditching the whole thing and just being yourself, that sounds like to me, I hear in that a really big movement into willingness to feel through all of these bullshit stories about what it is to be a man and actually discover yourself as the man that you are. Yeah. Okay. So, Greg, do you have anything you'd like to add to any of that, or should we just go on to the next?
Yeah, it's quite interesting, this collective of masculine, that this conquer and just non-attachment to any kind of sensitivity, and it's like it feels like it's coming from actually from fear. Also, this homophobic bullshit, which I felt it, always felt it, but never quite understood it. Because, like, why are you so afraid? What is so scary about of attracting to your own gender on these things? I mean, I felt it, so I kind of understand it, but at the same time, it feels like so limiting. Like each one of us is on this scale of feminine and masculine, and it's not even fixed, and we tend to think like it's either or, and it's so much bullshit. Like yeah, we can move on or whatever.
So I myself, like on this topic, I've moved through a shit ton of fear. I've gone as far as kissing a friend to see, what's up. It was like he was offering. He was just holding space beautifully, and we'd met several months prior, and it just kept deepening and deepening. And that was an issue that was coming up for him because I was being very present for him. And he was like, "Oh, this is weird. I'm feeling intimate with you, and I don't know how to deal with this." And then one day it got to a point where he became integrated enough and met me at the point that I was at. And it was like, okay, well, I guess this is what we're going to do. And it happened. And then we never talked about it not that we avoided it. It's just naturally, it just didn't come up. There was no impetus for either of us to pursue anything deeper. So that's as far as I've gone on that journey, but I still feel fear about it. I still feel like, if there is some form of attraction to a man, like this man here, Matt, welcome, Matt. We're basically, I don't know if you got your microphone on, Matt. I can't quite hear you yet, if you've said anything. Hello? So still can't hear you, Matt.
He's on mute.
Do I have to unmute him?
I think it's good.
Are you good now, Matt?
Yeah, I can hear all you. Can you hear me?
Okay, cool. Yeah, we can hear you now. So actually, this is perfect timing. So Matt, basically, we started off talking about what we thought masculinity was. There was basically, the idea of the feminine, flowy kind of movement in the world, and then the masculine, direct. And then Drew put forth the idea of like just letting go of that whole thing and being yourself. And it's kind of moved into the idea of like homophobia, essentially. And like our experiences of that. I shared an experience I had with a friend where I was like, looking to see what the truth was for me in that way. And it's you show up now, and the first experience that I had with you was like, wow, this is an attractive man, and it felt scary for me to feel that way when I met you. I didn't know what it was, and I mean, like, I've done like personal development courses where we were supposed to walk towards the person we were most attracted to in the room, and I recognized through that there's like all these different levels of attraction. Like, so we're attracted at the level of our being, we're attracted physically, we're attracted emotionally, we're attracted, to someone's intelligence or what have you. And normally I think we put all of those things into one, a lot of people put all of those things into one basket, and they say, okay, well, I'm attracted to this person, therefore it means all of these other things, without actually taking the opportunity, the time, the awareness to look deeply at what's really going on. So yeah, it's interesting that like this topic is the one that's opened up, and then you came in right at that time. So do you have anything to add about your idea of masculinity, or even a share about why you posted the message on Facebook asking if anyone wanted support with pornography? Whatever you got, just let it rip.
Yeah, so I posted the message. In late 2017, I basically, I gave up pornography, and that lasted about a year and a half. And recently, I started falling back into it. I talked with you about that, even at the party when we met, and that was I just had a falling out with a girl. Like, I was rejected, and I just found myself falling back into that. Like, honestly, I had like no libido, and I did that as a way to reset that. And then I've just sort of been using it unconsciously since then. And I was just having a conversation with my friend the night before he posted it. This guy I'd say he has more of a problem with it than I. And, well, particularly when he was doing ayahuasca, he had like a very direct message that he needs to quit porn. And actually, in the words of the spirits that were talking to him, they literally said, porn is killing you. And just talking to him, porn seemed incongruent with who I want it to be. It's mainly because I see it as, well, a replacement for actual human intimacy. It's just like trying to satisfy that need, and obviously it can't. And so, that's why I posted it. I thought, like, other people, they want to aspire to basically not have this reliance, and I'd like to help people out with that if it's important for them.
Cool. Well, I'd say you are, because this is happening right now, and that's where this came from. So, yeah. Thank you. Yeah, literally, thank you, because like I haven't watched porn since that day. I felt the I felt the desire creep up, more so each day, and it was like yesterday I was like, for a couple of days it wasn't there. Yesterday it was like, oh fuck, I want to like watch some porn, and then I was like, oh, okay, well, I'll just think of like women that I'm attracted to, what we do, or what most people do. And yeah, so I need this, not necessarily so that I can like stop porn, but so that I can like understand the underlying root causes better, as to why I'm using them. Like, and I totally agree. Like, for myself, it's an avoidance mechanism. It's like I want intimacy so deeply, but I'm so fucking afraid of it. And instead of moving into the discomfort of like potential rejection or you know, fucking fears of fucking STDs and like all sorts of shit, I've gone to porn. And not consistently, like not all the time. I mean, background story for me, I think most of you guys know, I was a Buddhist monk for a while, and that put a period in my life where there was like a practice of no masturbation for about half a year, and that like really cleaned stuff out and allowed me to see how those patterns were running my life. But back in the regular world, you know, those patterns still exist. And for me, what I'm looking at is like I'm seeing deep shame around my desire to be sexual. Like there's something wrong with it. And then that shame comes out ultimately in me watching like fucked up fantasy porn, you know? Yeah. So anybody else have what's your experience with porn, or like what have you had any successes with it, or like what do you see the root causes are for you?
Actually, this was the main attraction for me to join this call. I really wish to dive into this topic, because for me, basically two of my most important decisions of my life was, one is start to meditate and then quit porn. And it was both were huge positive effects. I don't even know how. I just heard something, this movement of NoFap, and it's something in me was like, okay, I'm kind of like, I'm feeling that this is not good for me, and okay, let's go try it. And holy moly, it was huge game changer. Like to realize that all of our energy is the same energy. I mean, our life energy is the same as our sexual energy, and the same as our creative energy. And if we just keep wasting, especially as a man, if we keep wasting our life energy to absolutely useless and meaningless pixels, then that energy is lost, and we cannot. We could use that energy to anything else, like, I don't know, just any kind of creative endeavors, or even inner work, inner healing, or for me, actually, one of the attraction was like, okay, I had trouble of talking to women, you know, just approach them. And I was like, okay, I noticed this, if I'm going on NoFap, my testosterone levels got boosted, I get more confidence, more talkative and whatnot. So that was the initial thing for me, but I got so much more in return than I bargained for. Yeah, so I would say every man should at least try a longer period, like a couple of months, at least a month. And it's crazy to think that I was like, even like a week or 2 weeks without masturbation was like absolutely crazy idea for me, like a couple of years back. and after we kind of reset our brain, because I would say most of us doing it for this dopamine flash in our brain, like just this reward, and it is quite addictive. And once we go for, like, I don't know, I would say a 3 month off, these pathways got resetted, or yeah, that's the word. And from that point, I would say it's much more easy to just use this life energy in more, meaningful ways, like, I don't know, do some sports or any kind of art or whatnot. But the point was, the practice was to keep use this energy, because if we just do not use it for something, then it's incredibly hard to just because our energy levels keep getting higher and higher. If we don't channel it in some way, that's a super hard challenge. So yeah, we gotta flow it somehow.
Yeah, well, they say the sacral chakra is the sex center and the creative center. So, I mean, if you're charging up your sexual energy and you're not expelling it or whatever sexually, then it needs to go into creativity. I've also experienced the same type of thing. It was like I built it up, and then I built it up so much that I caused a block because I didn't find a way to express it. And it had almost the same type of effect as when I was ejaculating all the time. The energy was just no longer there anymore. And so I've experimented with that, with like long durations, shorter durations. And yeah, it's still an ongoing kind of exploration. It's been a while since I've done that. It's probably been several months since I've gone on a like no fap, like conscious, like decided, like 10 days or 2 months or whatever. But I've found each time that I've done it, like you were talking about the, like, I guess like neuroplasticity or brain rewiring to the behavior. Each time I've done it, it's still challenging a little bit at the beginning, but it's gotten easier to not. And I think I'm at the point where I'm working on exactly what you're talking about in terms of finding an effective outlet. And for me, that potentially is this, or not just this, but like, having these types of conversations. Yeah. How about you, Drew? What's your experience like with porn, with masturbation, any of that stuff?
Yeah, I had some really major difficulties. Found pornography at a very early age, and I became addicted to it, and it was terrible. It just ravaged my whole life. Basically, I was consumed by it, and every night I would wake up and I'd be acting out, and I'd be feeling so guilty about it, feeling ashamed of myself, and that went on for like years. And it kept getting worse. The pornography kept getting more and more grotesque as it went along with it. And I became disgusted with myself. I hated myself. And basically what happened was something happened around 19 or 20, and I stopped. And I don't know how, but then I developed an eating disorder, a chronic condition that's ravaged my life as well for 20 years. And the correlation between the sexuality and this eating disorder go hand in hand. And I'm still grappling with the eating disorder. But the pornography and the sexuality it's just so painful for me that I basically lost interest at this point in both of them, the pornography and sexuality. It's like I just been so painful that I don't know what to do right now with that. I'm just checking in with this group because of we were around a campfire, went on a vision quest recently with a friend, and we were around the campfire and this pornography issue came up. And I just said to myself, it was such hell to be going through that. And it was just, I couldn't stop. And I want to help people some way with that. Like, I don't want to go through it and not have it be some meaning, not only to my life, but maybe to some other kids' lives, or, because I know I wasn't alone. I mean, I can't be alone in this with this pornography. So it's kind of how I got involved in this.
Cool. Do you have any ideas for yourself or for other people about like any way forward? Like what is it? So you said you were experiencing a lot of pain around this. And so what is that pain? Like, if you give it a name, if you're willing to go here, if you give it a name, like an emotion or anything, any name that you see fitting. I would say an emotion, but like, you know, if it's shame or guilt or sadness or fear or grief, anger, whatever, what would you call it?
Definitely judgment.
Judgment. Okay. And what is the judgment?
It's some part of me feels like that was wrong. That was bad. And I feel like some part of me wanted to stop so badly, and I just was totally not able to. And it judged myself for being weak. And
you wanted to stop masturbating? Is that?
I wanted to stop, but I couldn't at that age. I just couldn't. It was like, no matter how much I promised God and how much I promised myself that I'd stop, I couldn't. The next night, I would be up.
And so, right now, what is the experience that you have around it? Like the pain, is it still judgment?
Fear, I think, would be a big part of it. Fear and judgment. Yeah.
Is it like judgment of others or self-incrimination?
Self. Yeah.
Okay. So what I'm doing is wrong, I'm bad, or something along those lines.
Yeah, something along those lines. I'll be punished for this.
Okay. You mentioned you had a relationship with God. Is it related to any sort of, and I just want to check in if this is okay for me to ask you these questions, or if this is going too far, just let me know. Okay.
Okay.
So you said you had a relationship with God. Was it founded in any sort of religious upbringing where sex was a sin, all of that stuff?
Yeah. Still dealing with that. So that's kind of where I'm at, right? It's like, you get this imprint of what your idea of God is, and it's imprinted with a lot of information. So yeah, definitely looking for an avenue to unwind this pain that I have with this area, and like I said, becoming open to exploring a new concept of God.
Mm. Yeah, you said you're going to an ashram right away, one that I've also attended, which is essentially Hindu. Is that the kind of path or the new definition of God that you seem attracted to or moving into?
Yeah, for sure.
Cool. Is there anything you found within that system that is attractive to you, that embodies the like healed archetype that you're looking to express yourself as? I assume that's what you would want to do.
Wesley, I think I'm starting to get a little overwhelmed here with maybe we can shift from myself.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yes. We can take that offline if you'd like afterwards.
Yeah.
Or just leave it. It's all good. Okay. So that kind of shifted things into a very peculiar kind of way of looking at things in terms of like the relationship of God and sexuality. I mean, I feel like even talking about that, I like when you said you were feeling a little overwhelmed, I can feel that too, because that's a touchy subject. I mean, I don't know if I want to go there in this particular call. I mean, we can, but it's, yeah, if anybody has anything else they'd like to add about that or anything that's come up for them around pornography or their relationship with masturbation, go ahead. Okay, so I want to talk about shame then, because for me, shame is the thing that seems to tie it together. I find myself attracted to so many fucking women, and I have the urge to have sex with a lot of them. I mean, my journey has been such that I've discovered sex without intimacy or without emotional connection to be almost entirely meaningless or pointless or unfulfilling, I guess is the word. And I feel ashamed that I have these thoughts, that I want to enact certain fantasies with women, like there's something wrong with me because I want to do things that television and TV say are taboo, and television and media and the upbringing that I had said that these things were taboo or wrong. And yet I have these desires. I fucking have these desires. Like, I've had some fucking weird desires that, strange things that have come up with fucking underage girls and, opposite sex and family members and all of this stuff. And I'm this fucking biological organism that's programmed through DNA and traumas and all sorts of stuff to fire off these responses. And, that's just the hand that I was given. That's the life that I've stepped into as this human being. And then the conditioning of my culture says that those things are wrong. And so automatically there's a shutting down. All of this stuff is bad and wrong. So I can't even look at it. And then it's stuck. Like, so, these things have been passed down through our lineage. People have gone to war and been raped and murdered, and all of these things are stored in our DNA. And, we as an awakening group of people on this planet right now are transmuting those energies, and they're coming up through each and every one of us as we step into deeper forms of awareness. And so the big thing that I'm finding that holds like me in place is like the stuckness is the fucking shame associated with this stuff coming up that I've discovered isn't even mine. Some of it is like, I got, some people are just really into fucking feet and that's their thing. And it's not like it's hurting anybody, that's just their thing. And so, I mean, we all have our preferences sexually and our interests, and I've found that the shame that I seemingly have been conditioned with in certain ways has prevented me from exploring. And so initially we opened up this conversation. One of the first things we talked about was homophobia. And so for years, it's been like, oh, fuck, I don't think there's anything there, but I don't know because I haven't fucking gone there, because I felt so ashamed that I'm even fucking curious to know what that is. And I think, we as men, most of us are conditioned to be stoic and fucking not communicate and only have a certain subset of emotions. And so we don't get to explore all of these fine intricacies of possibility in this realm. And I want to fucking explore that in my life. I've gone the celibate monk way, and it was cool and I liked it, but I'm moving down a path of expanding my consciousness and awareness through exploring that part of me. And I want to let go of the shame, and I'm willing to shine the fucking light on this stuff. That's why I wanted to have this conversation, is because I've carried so much, like you were, Drew, you were talking about like self-judgment, like so much fucking self-judgment around my natural primal desires as this human fucking primate. You know, and we're all here because of the thing that I'm ashamed of. We're all here because someone had sex with someone else. I mean, you know, in vitro, whatever, but like, yeah. And so it's super potent. And for me, it feels like I just moved into a new city where there's more women than men, and women that I'm very attracted to, a lot of women that I'm very attracted to. And it's like, it feels to me like it's time to explore, and the way through that exploration is facing my shame. Yeah. So how about you guys? How do you feel about shame? What's your experience of it? What do you think? If you want to share something that you're shameful about, like an experience or desire that you have.
I can share. Yeah, I guess the main source of shame isn't so much like the shame over having sexual feelings. It's more so the shame of, I guess, being a bit of a loner and not having relations with women in the real world. Because if I was to get into my history, I didn't have sex until quite late, 22, and at that point, it was really just to get it over with, so to speak. And so, I guess I've carried this shame over really not getting sexual relationships, and I guess even phrasing it as getting them, that probably reveals something. I don't know. But yeah, that's probably the main source of shame for myself.
Yeah. When you said, go ahead, Greg.
Oh yeah, I just wanted to just share. It's pretty much the same story for me. I carried this shame of being a virgin for quite long. Yeah, kind of the same age as Matthew. I was like, okay, I always planned it like, you know, with emotional attachment, but I was like, I'm chasing a ghost or something. So just get it over with and just put that heavy stuff from my back. This shame. It's really because logically I could understand that there's nothing to be ashamed of, but still I carried it. I felt it from the collective that it was somehow not masculine. Yeah, and it definitely got. I was feeling better after it, but only. But it, for example, didn't really help me to be more confident or whatnot. Those things only got healed later on my sort of self-realization journey when I meditated very lot and got healed some of my traumas related to relationships, I guess. Then this whole confidence thing got much better, but yeah, it's a weird shame. And also regarding of the taboo thoughts, I definitely had a period of my life when I was like pretty scared of these weird ideas and attractions. And it later kind of went away in a sense. as I maybe realized that there is also a collective, and there are a lot of ideas in the collective, and it's not necessarily belongs to us. We can all feel this whole field, right? And as long as we keep some of the really crazy ideas still in thought form, and no one gets hurt or anything like that, then there's nothing to really be judgmental or ashamed, because these are ideas, and we don't need to believe all these thoughts, and it's not necessarily it is not necessarily a story about us. So yeah, that kind of helped me elevate the self-judgment. And yeah, definitely when I was like embracing some of the uncomfortable and painful feelings of mine, and those was able to felt and released, that kind of turned my focus as well, and it got so much more easy to not attract these heavier ideas and thoughts, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So my point is, I guess, is just embrace the uncomfortable feelings or ideas, and yeah, just maybe dive into them on a feeling level.
Mm-hmm. Is there a practical way that you could recommend for anyone that's watching this as to like specifically how they could go about starting down that path?
Well, meditation is pretty useful for sure. And when we like notice there, we got these patterns, right? These avoidance patterns. So we just got the urge of, okay, I want to do some, I don't know, drugs or watch some porn or just simply eat something because I'm feeling a little bit uncomfortable, a little bit off, something is not quite right, I don't want to feel bad. And when we notice these patterns, we can be like, okay, wait a minute, what if I don't use this cover up and just stay with that uncomfortable feeling and just be with that bad feeling? Because we like escaping all the mind tend to escape all these crappy states, and we always want to feel good, right? It's quite natural. But if we just stop right there and keep being okay with the sadness or whatever coming up, and just staying with it, and it kind of, we even go further in it, and it gets heightened. And then, for example, you can just let yourself cry or scream or whatever. Then that stuck energy which we were holding in the body, then it can get released, and that is the way to later on be even more aware of our unconscious patterns. And basically this is, in a nutshell, this is the way how I got rid of all of my addictions, because I realized that addictions usually just wants to cover up a certain heavier energy. Mm-hmm. But when we go into the heavier energy, we can heal all these stuck points and traumas in our body.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, beautifully put. I myself right now am going through a process of something like that. I left the city that I'd been in for 2 months without any sort of plan, and I now find myself in Victoria, British Columbia, and in Canada, and lots of stuff is shifting and changing, and I've recognized that there was this grief inside, this deep grief from challenges that I've had over the past several years, and I couldn't access it. So like trying to make myself cry or like intending to cry hasn't been working. So I started going to get acupuncture and asking them to specifically give me acupuncture to release grief. And then I had a coaching session where I felt safe. I felt held. I felt seen and understood. And in that coaching session, which was recorded live and is going to be posted right away, I think, I just let go and I wailed, and I was held by this other human being beautifully. And the next day, and right after the session, I then found a message on Facebook from a spiritual teacher who asked me to feel into something. And so I just sat there and I felt into all the deep emotions that were just under the surface. And there was like self-hatred and fucking anger and anger and anger. And then I found self-love and compassion, but it was just like all these layers of like unprocessed emotions. And I needed to actually take the initiative to go out and get support because I couldn't figure out how to access them. And I've done a shit ton of work with all sorts of different modalities, but it was like, it was hidden somewhere in my consciousness. There was this block, I couldn't see it. And so I went and got a physical modality that allowed me to like tap into that stuff and release it. So then as the story goes forward, I did this stuff with the spiritual teacher. I released, I fucking wailed. Like I had been having a difficulty letting go in my belly. And so every time I tried to cry, my belly would like it was like my belly would flex in, like I was doing some sort of abdominal breathing, but I couldn't figure out how to let it go. And so I told him this, and he just said, wail from your gut. So I started screaming into a pillow and hitting it, and eventually it busted open and a whole bunch of stuff. And this was like 2 days ago. A whole bunch of stuff came out, a whole bunch of anger towards myself. And then I remembered some other techniques that I'd done. One was dynamic meditation from Osho, which has a whole bunch of chaotic breathing and then catharsis. So chaotic breathing to like loosen the energy body. And then I pounded the shit out of the pillow. I screamed. I even went to a park earlier in the day and did the same thing, just to do it in public, just to like give a different experience to like, fuck society. And like, I've been afraid to like express myself. So I'm doing it out, in a public place. I mean, I was still in some trees and people couldn't really see me, but so yeah, I had to really fucking go in there, like, and shake that shit up. So after the chaotic breathing, there's a jumping up and down phase where I say hoo 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 and I slam my feet on the ground, and then standing there with my arms up in the air, and then sitting meditation, and then dancing. And so I did that process, and I had the biggest release I've had in like 4 years, and that was yesterday. So yeah, it's the feeling piece that's the most important. And there's all sorts of techniques to do it, and all sorts of people that can hold the space for us because they've done it themselves. And that's a super big fucking leverage point, is like, we're all these energetic beings, and some of us have blocks and other people are open. And when we're in the presence of those people that are open, we're automatically like led into the potential of releasing those blocks. So like people that come and watch this video, if they haven't experienced some of the stuff that we have, we're inviting them into our vortex, our shared energetic field of openness in the ways that we've opened in ourselves. And that's super, super leverage. But yeah, but for me, like going back to what you were saying, Greg, like meditation has been the primary thing. Just sitting there with whatever is arising. You can do all sorts of meditation techniques, breathing and, whatever. But what mine has turned into is literally just sitting there and being aware. Yesterday, somehow I turned into a third eye meditation, which I haven't done for years, but like, yeah, for the most part, it's just sitting there, just being present, because like presence, awareness dissolves those blocks. Like anything that's arising, if we hold it in presence long enough, eventually it goes from solidified and starts to loosen up and then releases, and then our world reflects that opening that we have inside of ourselves. And you know, as we heal inside, then outside can't help but shift.
Yes, and that's actually, we tend to forget that everything is in perfect timing, and we exactly experiencing exactly what we need to experience, and only our mind, which keeps telling us that there is something wrong in this moment. But no, when we embracing whatever is coming up, that is exactly what we need to do to sort of get to the bottom of that, for example, unhealed trauma or whatever. But it is, whatever happening, it is happening for a reason. It is not random at all.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, as you said, just sitting with whatever is happening, whatever coming up, it is the way. Quite often, it is simple as that. And that's another question. If we kind of listen to the mind and keep resisting and keep running away from that state, that is only kind of postponing whatever wants to come up. But the key word is get in touch, getting back to our feeling nature as much as we can, and just know that whatever is coming up, we can hold space for that. We are strong enough for that. We can handle it. Otherwise, it wouldn't come up.
Yeah, and on a like, I mean, I see exactly what you're talking about. I experienced that. And I found personally that so I spent a lot of time alone in contemplation and meditating. And I haven't started to see real big shifts until, and this probably is because of all of the time I spent alone and the things I've opened, but until I reached out and connected, and invited, like, both as an inner intention and speaking it out fully, invited support. And then that's when things really started to accelerate, when, you know, I got over the idea of oneness and actually started to interact with my oneness in the form of all these people and the abundance of connections that I've discovered I now have as I've like opened myself up. Yeah.
Yeah, it's also kind of, it was really hard for me to reach out, to ask for help. It was really troubling. And I guess it's kind of part of this toxic masculine, if I can say that we cannot ask for help. And actually, especially when it comes to emotional healing, it is quite useful to look for people and ask for guidance and whatever we need, and it is quite okay, more than okay.
Yeah, I think that the call that I'm hearing, and I mean the one that I've been kind of, that, you know, so I left Canada and went to Thailand for a year and a half. Before that, I was on this like very deep healing adventure already, and I was like poised to step into leadership of men in the communities that I was a part of. And it was basically all around being okay to feel as a man. Like, it's okay to feel. And I think that is the fucking biggest bullshit piece of conditioning that keeps most men stuck in lack, limitation, misperception of reality, like inability to experience life in its fullness. Is just simply it's not okay to feel. And it's a belief that I think almost all of us carry to certain degrees. How about what about you guys, Drew or Matt? What do you guys think about that?
I really appreciated the sharing from Greg and yourself, Wesley. Definitely experiencing the emotions wanting to come up and wanting to create space, but there's been a pattern that I've had of acting out when those emotions are coming up to prevent them from coming up. And I'd like to be well, I am ready, like you were saying, that they wouldn't be coming up if I wasn't ready for it. And I also like the basically the the support issues been good, getting support, and yeah, just learning to be with myself has been kind of where I've been at recently. Like I have great difficulties just being alone, and but I'm getting better at spending more time with myself, and it's a process that I'm on, and yeah, I'm just grateful to be here, and I'll let Matthew share if he has anything.
Cool, thank you.
Yeah, I'll share a bit more about, I guess, my motivation for well, sort of setting this in motion. And well, one reason was I knew that a bunch of other men were facing the same thing I was facing, and it's just something we don't really talk about. And I think there's significant human suffering which results from us just not bringing these things to light. And I guess there's also sort of egoic reasons. I sort of wanted to see myself as a leader of men. Not that that's necessarily all bad. And also, I figured, putting it out publicly, that would help me on my journey. So yeah, I found that was my reasoning for making this, turning this from like a private struggle into something like a group.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I can tell you, I mean, this conversation has been illuminating for me, and I'm grateful that you guys are willing to share. And like, it wouldn't have happened if you didn't make that decision. And so it's like, that is the fucking thing that, like, right there, you just pointed to, was like, you're bringing the shadow into the light. And so the shadows are like, we've been hiding, humans have been hiding, men have been hiding from a lot of our shadows for forever through various different means. And it is like that exact thing that you just referred to that is going to allow us to heal as men and as humanity, is bringing those things out. I mean, we can hold them in and we can heal them. I found to a certain extent that was been a great part of my healing, was the inner work, the inner reflection, the diving deep into my fucking soul, whatever, the non-physical aspect of me. But it doesn't translate into healing my external world to a great degree until I'm willing to actually stand in that and say, yeah, this is what I have. This is the shit that's been going on inside of me. And then the shame disappears, because it's like, oh, fuck, you guys too? Cool. And then all of a sudden that spreads to all men, to all people, whatever, so it's beautiful. And yeah, kudos for bringing that up, because I mean, I was at a point where I needed support, and yeah, this is the healing that results from that.
Thank you, Wesley.
Yeah, man. Let's see. I wrote down a bunch of stuff here. So, okay.
Hey guys, sorry to interrupt you guys. I have to get going. Sorry about that.
It's all good, bro.
Yeah, it was good to connect with all you guys. It was really, really powerful. And I'd like to be at the next one if you do another one of these.
You are most welcome and always invited.
Thank you for being here.
Okay.
Yeah, man.
Bye.
Peace out.
Take care, guys.
Bye-bye, Drew.
So one thing we haven't really touched on yet, we've kind of walked around it a little bit, is relationships. And so I say that in the general sense, but just because there's value in looking at it in terms of like relating to like how I relate to a fucking table. There's like value in understanding how things are related to one another. But what I'm talking about specifically more so is like an intimate relationship with a partner or partners. Because I mean, Matt, you alluded to being interested in that, and your idea or your experience with pornography seemed like it was a block that was getting in the way of you actually fulfilling that desire. Pardon?
A crutch, really.
A crutch, yeah. And so, Greg, do you have similar kind of experiences, desires, or what have you?
Yeah, actually, that was also my motivation to sort of, I realized that, to go on NoFap, if I actually want to be in a relationship, then I just cannot allow myself to just release this sexual energy to fictional things. And that was sort of my, I would say, fuel to actually go out. And I actually noticed it as well, that I wanted to socialize much more and talk to people much more. So yeah, but yeah, it brought up other things as well, which needed to be seen and healed. So the actual relationship come kind of later, when I got to be okay as with myself. I kind of had to accept that I am 100% fulfilled alone, and I can be 100% happy alone, and I don't need per se someone to fulfill me or whatever. And after that kind of switch happened, then I realized that I really can be absolutely 200% super ecstatic alone with myself, and that the whole thing kind of turned upside down, and certain attractions kind of came up, and when I kind of had this vibe that I don't need no one else. So it was quite an interesting realization.
You mentioned that what preceded that, if I recall, was some form of healing, like healing some traumas or some wounds. Would you be willing to discuss more about that?
Yeah, it kind of the NoFap journey, my meditation, and the kind of went together. And with that, as I dived much more deeper into self-realization, I started to really focus. Basically, I quit my job, I quit everything. I just focused on this inner work, this meditation, just doing this, and that naturally brought up my sort of wounded selves stuff, which needed to finally be seen and be felt. And yeah, it kind of happened on its own. And of course, I was quite in panic that I kind of was aware that it's going to happen, but when suddenly from grace you kind of feel this incredible pain and sadness, and all you want to do is just escape and kind of kill yourself because you don't want to go and feel that feeling again. But yeah, at that point you don't really have a choice. It's kind of automatic, and I realized that I just need to surrender. So after that, some of these ideas, like I had to fully accept that, okay, I'm going to die alone. I'm never not going to find true love. I'm never going to, you know, be with the most beautiful woman ever. Because those ideas, my wounded self, my ego, kind of hold into, it kind of ingrained my belief system that it is not possible for me, and I had to accept that idea first. I needed to surrender to it. That okay, I'm going to feel this pain forever, and then you kind of let all these feelings emerge and feel it fully and just cry it out, and then that idea kind of gets released and you are free. You don't believe that really from that point. And so your reality changes as well.
Beautifully put. Yeah, I can see your deep experience in that. Yeah, it's very nice. Yeah, and like honestly, that's like, I don't have anything to add to that. So if you're on a healing journey, do what he just said. Cool.
Yeah.
Pardon?
I'm not there yet. But...
You're not where
he is.
Well, so yeah, and I mean, this has been my experience. I've experienced some of what he's talking about in various aspects of my life, and it's an ongoing thing. There seems to be just a continual letting go into these deeper layers of stuff that is first personal, like our own lifetime experience, and then transpersonal. It turns into, we start transmuting the collective. We start tapping into, like, my experience over the past several years is ancestral wounds, like really deep traumas in my family that I didn't understand, and I started to have to transmute through feeling, basically through like accepting things and surrendering to life in various different ways, in the physical world and also internally. Like, and now I'm re-emerging into a process of like really deeply letting go into grief and seemingly anger. So I think like we all experience it to a certain degree, at various points in time in our life, to like varying depths and intensity. And I mean, I'm not an enlightened master. I don't know if that's ever going to stop, but it seems like a continuous process. Like, I've gone through very like phases in my life where that's the thing that's happening. And then all of a sudden, you know, life is kind of different and I'm just interacting in the world without much concern with that. It's happening automatically, the letting go process. The feeling then starts to happen in the present moment. It's not so much the backlog of things that are have occurred through our traumas as in our childhood, but then like that, oh, well, okay, this thing is occurring in this moment and I'm feeling it fully present and alive here now. And so I've gone into those phases where it was just pure presence, also purging, presence, like, and it cycles. Like Greg, you said like a few days ago, you were going through like essentially an emotional purge.
Yes.
Yeah. I also was as well, like I mentioned earlier in the talk. Would you care to share what that was like for you?
Yeah, as you said, it is an ongoing process. I mean, like, we kind of start with maybe some of our core wounds, but after that, we kind of get stronger in a way. So we are ready for other aspects of our imaginary self to finally be seen and bring into light. So like a few days ago, I guess all this healing process, I look at it as in basically our fictionary self or ego or idea of ourself is dying. So it feels like dying, and it is a deathing process, because our very ideas are getting shattered, and we kind of need to face these ideas and be like, okay, what is this thought that keeps saying? And it is a false idea, of course, but at the point we can only feel the tremendous pain. It kind of the frequency of it, and so we just keep feeling these heavy energies, and do whatever the body needs to do, if it's crying or rage or whatever. But the essence is the feeling part. And what was me? Wait a second. All I remember, I started my day with crying, and I ended it with crying, and during the day it was the same. And I couldn't even really pinpoint it. Sometimes there is a trigger, but sometimes I don't even know what are the ideas or where it's coming from, or whatever. It is only the feeling, and I'm like, okay, now this is happening. Now just stay with it, and it's going to last until it needs to last. And it's just this be able to switch into non-resistance, and it is incredibly hard. It is hard. I mean, it's only natural that we are avoiding pain. I mean, but there is something in us which still kind of can take over and be like, okay, I like to remind myself that even this is somehow perfect, and this is for me. I don't understand how or why or what is going on, but later I'm going to see more and be able to understand, okay, yes. And after it happened, I was like, holy shit, yes, I can understand what was wrong with the idea where I was keep attaching to. Sort of my ego wanted a certain way, and it didn't happen that way, and I was in pain. But now I kind of see that it was a lesson for me. So,
So what you're talking about is actually a fairly, as far as my own experience, observation, and whatever, is a fairly like advanced way of moving through this stuff. Matt, you had mentioned earlier that you said you didn't feel like you were at that point. I can kind of, in my journey, there's been various different stages, from complete lockdown to seeming total freedom, back down to lockdown, and at various points in time I needed to do different things. So where Greg is what I'm hearing in Greg is like the process of surrender, trust, letting go, things like that. Sometimes we need where we're at some sort of psychological support, facilitation through therapy. Some people are at that point. In order to get to the place where they're able to let go. What I find myself is the kind of key component, and I'm not sure if this is the thing for everyone, is feeling safe to release. So like if I don't feel safe, my nervous system is going to hold on to all that shit. But as soon as I get into a safe space and I realize it's safe, then I can release. And it's taken me fucking years to find safety, and then I lost it, or I chose not to be in safe environments for various reasons, and now I'm re-emerging into the safety of the people around me, the relationships I've cultivated, the communities I'm part of, and that process that Greg is talking about has just started again. But it did take some like conscious efforting and techniques and various things. It doesn't have to. But if someone is watching this and they're like, wow, that sounds really fucking great, but how the hell do I do that? I would say prioritize your emotional safety, and life will bring you the things in that safety in order to facilitate that letting go process. And eventually you'll get to the point where, you know, the things are just arising naturally and you're releasing them without resistance.
Yeah, I would say it's super important. I kind of forgot about this, but as you said, self-love, and there are various ways to that. Like just simply, I don't know, do some exercise, meditate, take a bath, or just simply stop comparing yourself to other people. You are a unique whatever being, and just you can love yourself, and it kind of really starts there, that you can hold space for yourself. You don't less and less kind of buy into this victim state, which is the hardest thing to leave behind, and just be your sort of your own mother and your own father, and just keep loving your inner wounded child. And that, so sort of, yes, this safe space, you can create yourself this space, and feelings are safe, and it's okay to feel bad, and yeah, so I would say, yeah, Matthew, of course you're ready, you are there. Whatever sound is keep telling you are not there, that's a false sound. That's just an idea who wants to run away, maybe certain feelings, but you don't need to listen to that.
Yeah, I guess just a story.
Yes.
And not a very good one.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing, Greg. That illuminates things for me. You know, the path forward, the process of letting go, of surrender, of creating that safe space for myself, and holding myself in love, in self-love. I recognize that, like, my practice, I mean, I've had various different practices, but I've had a very specific practice that I've done, I think, every day for, I don't know, the past half year. And then I did it sporadically before that, but it's a mantra. And doing that practice continually has been an act of self-love. Every single day, it's like I'm putting a little bit into my self-love cup because I'm doing that practice. It started so I went from the highest of the highs as a Buddhist monk. I came back to Canada, and then I lived in poverty, basically. I wandered the country and stayed in homeless shelters and stuff. And at the very lowest of the low, what I found was brushing my teeth every day. And that was my act of self-love. And no matter what happened, whenever shit hit the fan, you know, I didn't have any money, I fucking lost my backpack, all my shit was gone. The first thing I went and did was I went and bought a fucking toothbrush. I went into a grocery or a 7-Eleven, and I was like, I said it out loud. I'm like, I don't have money and I need a fucking toothbrush. My shit just got stolen. This guy gave me $20. I bought a toothbrush and toothpaste and dental floss, I believe. And that was my practice. And that was my act of self-love. And I built myself back up from that point. Piece by piece, finding the things that were most nourishing. And it started off very simple, and my life was very plain. I was stripped down to the bare bones. And life then wouldn't allow me to bring things in that weren't in alignment with my highest truth. And it's become more dynamic, but at first it sucked to go through that process, being completely stripped bare. But it was the act of self-love at the very bottom of brushing my teeth that was the fuel that has allowed me to reemerge into my life as this new person.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So yeah, I love that self-love. It has been a thing. I mean, yeah, I in my like purging of emotions a couple days ago, I found so much self-hatred, and I found that self-hatred because I was committed to loving myself and allowing that self-hatred to arise. And yeah, I would suggest that for men, it does take courage. It does take courage to actually take these steps, because we have to go against the norm, against the most of our cultures that say, you know, if you do this thing, something's wrong with you and you're going to be ostracized and you'll lose blah, blah, blah. You know, it can trigger a lot of really deeply rooted fears in us. And I'd say it does take an active courage to love yourself and to take some of these steps into moving more deeply into feeling and letting go.
Absolutely. It takes brutal honesty and brutal courage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you can start small. I mean, my experience was just saying the one thing that was going on for me. It was brutally honest. It was like, this is the thing that's going on. But it wasn't everything. And I didn't do it all at once. I mean, so if someone is seeing this, you know, just know that, you know, how does that analogy go? Something about an elephant, you eat an elephant one bite at a time or whatever. Like you take small,
Yes.
you can take small chunks. You don't have to go in and destroy your whole system at once. I did that and it fucked me up and caused lots of difficulty in my life. That was likely unnecessary, lots of suffering. So yeah, the self-love piece is huge. And I've found an act of courage and self-love is reaching out to community, connecting with community, healing communities, communities that are focused on self-realization. Because when this stuff comes up, my experience has been that I can be almost entirely dysfunctional when I'm in it. And sometimes I'll need to rely on the caring support of somebody who understands when I'm in the midst of it. So it's like super important to have a support system in place in some way, shape, or form. You know, we can create the safety ourselves by having our needs met if we've got the financial and physical pieces in place. But there are also some other things that can go sideways with mental health and like misinterpretation, you know, misperceiving things and then going down some strange rabbit hole that's not real. So it's important to have people around us that are, you know, ahead with us and behind us on this path of evolution. So when we are weak, that we can have people support us. And I mean, that's kind of like what this call is about for me, is creating those connections, creating that energy and that inertia in my own life, so that if that stuff does happen again, I've got that taken care of. So it no longer takes me down to the bottom rung of the ladder. I just, you know, drop a little bit and then keep rising.
Yeah, absolutely. Support is so needed. I mean, on these healing paths, I could have not done it without these online family I've found. So even if there's no one around you physically, it works perfectly on the internet, basically. So you can find your mentor or your support group or whatever, and you are definitely not alone.
Yeah, and there are some very beautiful, compassionate, loving beings on this planet that are like fully available to anyone who wants to reach out to them. I'm going through a major shift in my life, and it's like one after another, they're just showing up and saying, here's what you need. But I'm getting that reflection now because I had enough of not loving myself, of not doing the things that fulfilled me. And I left where I was, I came to where I wanted to be. And that, it's been challenging, but the reflection that life is now giving me is, here's all the people. They were there the whole time. You just weren't aware. But, now that you've taken your blinders off and and now that I'm taking my blinders off and I'm opening to see what was already there. All these beautiful people there saying, I love you and I'll help you. But I had to be willing to make that shift. I had to turn that corner myself. And it was me opening, and that's happened through various different means, but it's that self-love piece. It's that willing to love myself and what I know to be true. And once that shift has occurred, then that's when life comes in and says, okay, here you go. You're clear. You know what you want. Here's the stuff. Boom, 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 boom. Like literally, I had a guy, a master healer that I've been following and received healings from, send me a message and say, hey, I'm going to send you some money. And he's like, oh, okay, thank you. And I didn't ask him, but he's just like, he's been following me and he sees where I'm at. And I fucking feel so grateful and so affirmed, like that this, so the life is showing me this master healer, and this master healer is giving me money. And that's a reflection. I'm becoming that fucking guy. And life is just showing me that now externally. I've said yes to that, and then life responds or reflects or what have you.
Yeah, you are it. Whatever you think of yourself, that's what gets reflected. Whatever you're willing to give to yourself, that gets amplified, and yeah. So wonderful.
Yeah. And yeah.
We're not pure individuals. We're the result of our interactions with people. We're in a process of co-creation with each other and with the universe. And yeah, so if you put yourself in a position where you can help others, then like that impact, it never stops. Propagates forward in time.
Yeah, you're as a very tangible example is like you're healing yourself by loving yourself to put out that message, has now gone forward through time and turned into this. And I feel very connected with you guys right now, and like this is healing for me. Yeah. Yes. Namaste. Yeah, cool. I got a bunch of other shit written down here. I don't know if any of it's relevant. I feel pretty good. I mean, we've gone over a lot of stuff. We've been at it for an hour, almost 2 hours. This feels pretty complete to me. I think we covered a lot of ground. If there's anything more that you guys want to share about your journey, about where you're going from here, about anything, any of the work you're doing in life, like, anything that's relevant to you, by all means right now, if you'd like to share, go ahead.
Yeah, I feel this is a complete session for sure. Maybe if there's going to be a follow-up, then we can take care of the rest of the questions.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I feel easily natural stopping point.
Well, I mean, I'll just add, I'm super stoked to do this. This feels like part of my purpose. This feels like alive for me and interesting and healing, and I like it a lot. And I've created a Facebook group called the New Man Healing Collective, and so I'm gonna add a bunch of people, likely today, a bunch of men, and it's going to be a group for supporting one another, of men supporting one another, where we can come to, speak about whatever it is what's going on for us, where we can support one another. And I was thinking about this earlier, and I suppose I already did this because I felt into it, and I cried before the call as I was feeling into it. The vision I saw or created was like the calling in of male, like an army of male light workers into this space to support one another, in creating whatever it is the new man is for them. So we come from this patriarchy that's, built on control, power, domination, things like that, where the man fulfills a certain role and the women, fulfills another one. And that's been shifting for quite some time. But what's it turning into? So men are being redefined. And I think something that Drew said earlier about just being himself is that the capacity or willingness or whatever to be ourselves, in the entire spectrum of being, emoting, thinking, feeling, acting, sexuality, all of it. And so a place to discover what that is, a safe place for men to discover what that is. And so, yeah, I'm calling in the warriors that have done the work, that are doing the work, that want to do the work, that are fucking scared as fuck and don't understand what's going on and need help and don't know it. I'm calling them in. And so that's what I'm creating after this. And you guys are foundations to that. So very much appreciated.
Thank you, guys.
Much love. So yeah, I guess that's going to be it. I don't know how to end these things because, this is the first time. Peace out. I very much enjoyed this, and I will see you guys again.
Have a wonderful day. See you guys.
You too. How the fuck do I end this thing? Boom. And